Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So maybe AJ was right. Hillary Clinton may be indicted after all. So this is Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, Committee on the Judiciary. This has been sent to the Honorable Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, the Honorable Rod J. Ronstein, Deputy Attorney General. This is pretty amazing. So this is Congress exercising a certain amount of oversight of the FBI. And they've sent an official letter warning to open up an investigation into the goings-on in the last election, essentially the Podesta leaks. How Clinton and Loretta Lynch handled it, essentially even an investigation of Loretta Lynch herself. The point that he's making is he wants to reinstall the integrity of the FBI. So I'm going to read some of this because it's, if this goes through, if Jeff Sessions takes this on, Hillary Clinton is going to prison. Dear Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Deputy Attorney General Ronstein, we're writing to you to request assistance in restoring public confidence in our nation's judicial system and its investigators, specifically the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation. We need to enable these agencies to perform their necessary and important law enforcement and intelligence functions fully unhindered by politics. While we presume the FBI's investigation into Russian influence has been subsumed into Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, we are not confident that other matters related to the 2016 election and aftermath are similarly under investigation by Special Counsel Mueller. Now, alright, so it is therefore incumbent on the committee in our oversight capacity to ensure that the agencies we oversee are above reproach, and the Justice Department, in particular, remains immune to accusations of politicization. Many congressional entities have been engaged in an oversight of the Russian influence in the election, but a comprehensive investigation into the 2016 presidential campaign and its aftermath is a must. Similarly, be free of even the suggestion of political interference. The very core of our judicial system demands as much. A second newly appointed special counsel will not be encumbered by these considerations and will provide real value to the American people in offering an independent perspective on the extremely sensitive matters. Our call for a special counsel is not made lightly. We have no interest in engendering more bad feelings and less confidence in the process or governmental institutions by the American people. Rather, our call is made on their behalf. It is meant to determine whether the criminal prosecution of any individual is warranted based on the solemn obligation to follow the facts wherever they may lead and applying to law to those facts. As we referenced above, Democrats and mainstream media call for a special counsel to be appointed to investigate any Russian influence on President Trump's campaign. Their pleas were answered, but there are many questions that may be outside the scope of Special Counsel Mueller's investigation. This was clear following Comey's recent testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee on June 8, 2017, which ignited renewed scrutiny of the former Secretary Attorney General Loretta Lynch and the action she took to mislead the public concerning the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email investigation. Last year, the committee inquired repeatedly about the circumstances surrounding that and other matters, but our inquiries were largely ignored. During his testimony, Mr. Comey referenced a meeting on Phoenix Airport tarmac between Ms. Lynch and former Bill Clinton. Mr. Comey raised concerns about Ms. Lynch's conduct and questioned her independence, stating, "At one point, the Attorney General had directed me not to call it an investigation, but instead to call it a matter, which confused me and concerned me. This was one of the bricks in the road that led me to conclude I have to step away from the department if we're to close this case credibly." I remember hearing that in the hearing, and I thought to myself, whoa, did he just say she was pushing him to behave a particular way based upon one of the candidates in the race? That was a mind-blowing statement, and that statement was almost ignored by the media. In addition to preparing testimony in front of Congress for September 2015 hearing, Mr. Comey asked Ms. Lynch at the time whether she was prepared to refer to the Clinton investigation as just that, an investigation. Mr. Comey testified that Ms. Lynch said, yes, but don't call it that, call it a matter. Mr. Comey retorted, why would I do that? Ms. Lynch answered, just call it a matter. Mr. Comey stated he acquiesced, but it gave him a queasy feeling, since it gave him the impression that the Attorney General was trying to line up how we describe our work with how the Clinton campaign was talking about it. That's peculiar. That's peculiar. It seems as if the investigation was somehow tilted. It seems like it was somehow tilted. Now, the levers of government are a bus. Think of it as a bus. The parties themselves are the people who are driving the bus. They're in these particular functions. They're functioning, doing something. But ultimately, they're driving the bus. They themselves have nothing to do. They have no claim whatsoever on the bus, on the apparatus. Hillary Clinton was running to try to take over the bus. She was not on the bus. She was not near the bus. She had no claim to that bus. So why is she getting favors from somebody that's already on the bus? Meaning Loretta Lynch is on the bus. Why is she tilting the levers of government to assist somebody else that's in a grace to take that position? That's cheating. That's cheating. You add to it that Loretta Lynch probably would have stayed on with Hillary Clinton. That's cheating with the self-interest involved. That should have been a bigger deal than that in media. That should have been a bigger deal when he said that. Notwithstanding the fact that the FBI is a Federal Bureau of Investigation, not the Federal Bureau of Matters, one is hard-pressed to understand why Ms. Lynch then directed Comey to call Clinton investigation a matter, unless she intended to use such deceptive language to help wrongly persuade the American people that former Secretary Clinton was not, in fact, the subject of a full FBI investigation to otherwise undermine the integrity of the investigation. Following Director Comey's Senate Intelligence Committee, Dianne Feinstein was asked about the testimony while appearing on CNN's State of the Union. Feinstein stated, I would have a queasy feeling too, though, to be candid with you. I think we need to know more about that. And there's only one way to know more about that, and that's to have a Judiciary Committee look at it. Well, they're looking at it. We share Senator Feinstein's concern and Ms. Comey's concern, specifically that during the midst of the contentious presidential election, which was already rife with scandal arising from Secretary Clinton's mishandling of classified information, and our nation's chief law enforcement office would instruct the FBI director, her subordinate, to mislead the American public about the nature of the investigation. Following Mrs. Lynch's deceptive downplay of the Clinton campaign as a matter, Director Comey infamously terminated the Clinton campaign, stating, although there is evidence of potential violations on the statutes regarding the handling of classified information, our judgment is that no reasonable prosecutor will bring such a case. So yes, she's guilty, but nobody will prosecute that. So don't worry about it. We'll let it go. The Comey testimony provided new evidence that Ms. Lynch may have used her position of authority to undermine the Clinton investigation. At any other point in history, this accusation will entail a shock to the conscience of law-abiding Americans who expect a DOJ free of political influence. Look, he's right. Be honest, he's right. Everything he's saying in his letter is absolutely and perfectly right. It's right. It may be a Republican writing it, but he's right. We only have, however, an investigation into Russian influence on the 2016 election, including any ties to the Trump campaign. To our nation's insight into just a single component of the 2016 election will only cause the special counsel's work to be derided as one-sided and incomplete. The special counsel's work must begin and end unimpeded by political motivations on either side of the aisle. For these reasons, The following points must also be fully investigated, ideally via a second special counsel. This is imperative to regain the cherished trust and confidence in our undoubtedly distressed law enforcement and political institutions. We call on the newly appointed special counsel to investigate, consistent with appropriate regulations, the following questions, many of which were posed by this committee and remain unanswered. 1. Then Attorney General Loretta Lynch directing Comey to mislead American public on the nature of the Clinton investigation. 2. The shadow cast over our system of justice concerning Secretary Clinton and her involvement in mishandling classified information. 3. FBI and DOJ's investigative decisions related to former Secretary Clinton's email investigation, including the propriety and consequence of immunity deals given to potential Clinton co-conspirator Cheryl Mills, Heather Samuelson, John Bentel, and possibly others. 4. Apparent failure of the DOJ to impanel a grand jury to investigate the allegations of mishandling and classified information by Hillary Clinton and her associates. 5. The Department of State and its employees' involvement in determining which communications of Clinton and her associates to turn over for public scrutiny. 6. I love 6. WikiLeaks disclosures concerning the Clinton Foundation and its potentially unlawful international dealings. Number 6 alone will put her in prison. Number 6 alone will put her in prison. Connections between Clinton campaign or Clinton Foundation and foreign entities, including those from the Russia and Ukraine. Ooh, it's getting deep. Mr. Comey's knowledge of the purchase of uranium-1 by one of the companies of Ronstam and whether the approval of the sale was connected to any donations made to the Clinton Foundation, and what role Secretary Clinton played in the approval of the sale that had national security ramifications. That's the uranium deal, the 25% of the uranium deposits, something to that effect. I'll let you read. Disclosures arising from unlawful access to the DNC's computer systems, including inappropriate collusion between DNC and the Clinton campaign to undermine Senator Sanders' presidential run. Number 9. Yeah, you can read the rest. Yeah, I put this in so you can read the rest. And all of these guys signed it. All of these guys signed it. Now, you may say, but Jamal, these guys are Republicans. They're doing a witch hunt. What do you think they're doing with the Trump and Russia allegation? It's a witch hunt. Now, the difference here is there is real corruption in what they're talking about. This letter is not crazy. It's not batshit crazy by any means. What they're talking about makes perfect sense. You're using a private investigator to determine this, but hey, we have a lot of unanswered questions of things that took place in the primaries that did not sit well with us. We have questions. We have questions. The best way to get answers to those questions is to get a private investigator or a special counsel that's undetached, that's not political. He's independent. We want him to go out there and look at information. If it's fair for Trump to have an investigation into his stuff, then yeah, I'm okay with that. They should look into his finances. I agree. Why isn't that fair to look into the corruption that took place among Democrats in the Democratic Party? Hillary Clinton herself with regards to the Podesta leaks, the cheating of Sanders. Why not? Some of what took place was illegal. That's the point I'm getting at. So yes, if you're going to look at anything, if you're going to have a special counsel, a special independent counsel to look at that stuff, it's only fair to also look at the other aspects of what took place in 2016, right? Right? I love this. I love this. I don't get to say it often, but these Republicans who are signing this, good fucking job. Good fucking job. You ask the right questions. And the fact is, it does seem like there was collusion between the Democratic Party in this sense, meaning pushing Comey to take a particular decision. Loretta Lynch pushing push it and push it. Obama put her in. Obama put Hillary Clinton in as Secretary of State. Would Obama put somebody in that department as Attorney General? If at any point they would do anything to go after Hillary Clinton, I guess my answer would be no to that. So is it too beyond the pale that she would have somehow influenced Comey to kind of sweep this under the rug? No, it's not beyond the pale to me. It's not beyond the pale. Comey essentially says she's guilty, but we can't do anything about her being guilty. Well, let's take another look. Let's take another look. It's only fair that we take a look from somebody who's independent. I don't think they're crazy for asking. I don't think they're crazy for saying it. And not just that, I think they got her dead to rights. I think they got her dead to rights. At least in the Clinton Foundation. If you're looking at the stuff that was taking place in the Clinton Foundation, the money that was exchanging hands, she's dead to rights. If they go through with this, Clinton may be getting purple. AJ may be right after all. So I'll leave it at that. That particular document is going to be in the bottom. So, all right, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through PayPal or Patreon. Thank you.